Hello and welcome back. This is week 10 PAWS. So this is going to be the progress and weekly stats. This is where we celebrate the wins, the chaos, and at least one questionable decision. Consistency is a myth, cat logic is real, and progress still counts even when it's messy. Okay? So first we're going to talk a little bit about this week. Now this week, first off, still figuring out the whole Google Health thing and the calorie tracker thing. So there's gonna be some that are kind of added back in, but I'm not too sure how well they did. I don't know, but it's been a wild week. In a week that not much happened again, but at least I'm doing my video this week instead of waiting 2 weeks. But yeah, this week was a lot of work, like actual work. Now, nothing bad happened. It's just changes. This has been my week of changes. As always, even good changes make my brain go, cool, it's time to use some extra brain power we did not budget for. Yeah. Learning new things, breaking old habits, forming new ones, all totally normal. They're all totally fine. But I am not a creature who thrives on change. That's okay. I'm just not. But here's the part nobody talks about. Working your brain overtime is just as exhausting as working out your body. I did get some steps in this week. Nothing like, major. On Monday, one of those days, I don't know, this week's blending. But I did my exercises. And as for the rest of the week, I was basically clocking out of work and immediately face planting into a nap. Exhausted doesn't even cover it. I had days where I was literally falling asleep standing up. Yeah, and just like physical exercise, the more you do it though, the easier it's going to get. So I'm going to give myself some grace. My body needed more rest than movement this week, and that's okay. The last few weeks, but this week was because of a whole nother reason, because every week's got to be a something reason. Anyway. To be honest though, this week kind of gave me that big, reading rainbow. I don't know who watched Reading Rainbow as a kid. I did. But it gave me that kind of energy. So the kid me would learn something new, and it felt like unlocking a superpower. Knowledge really is power. LeVar Burton told us that decades ago, but adult me has discovered the secret bonus level. Sometimes powering up your brain feels more like leveling a character with stamina bar of 2. Hold on. Did she stop? She's being a brat. I'll tell you why later. Anyways, so yeah, basically, I was exhausted. I am exhausted. I nap like it was my part-time job. But my brain's still learning. It's still adapting. Still getting stronger. Maybe it wasn't toning my arms or burning calories like a workout does, but it was strengthening my mind. And that counts too. And strengthening anything takes jet energy. So, of course, I'm tired. But, so just to let you know how this last week went. So, well, you know what? We still did it. So talking about the weight, just real quick. Basically, the total I lost since last week was 0.3 pounds. Still a loss. Total loss since start. Now that we have an actual start on April 2nd, we actually have a number. Yay. But I've lost a total of 68.4 pounds since April 2nd of 2025. So given how this week went, I am a bit surprised that I lost anything at all, to be honest. And if I gained weight, I would have completely understood. This week, I tried to track my food. I did okay, but tried is absolutely the word of the day. Because, that app. Trying to figure out my deficit when everything was suddenly split across 2 screens, across 2 apps, when it used to be all in one place. That's another change. When it just, my brain basically has already been checked out all week. And so even though I said I was tracking, doesn't mean I magically knew what my daily deficit actually was as I looked at it. So it used to be I could see a bar graph. Hey, I put in my food on my Fitbit. My Fitbit's like, oh, this is how much energy you burn. Because I don't like, again, we talked about calorie goals for me. like I said, calorie goals for you, but for me, I'm not a big fan of calorie goals. I like the deficit. I also didn't move as much as I usually do. My energy, of course, was drained. All those changes. Most evenings ended in me collapsing a nap, like it was my second job, as we said. But even in the middle of it, I still got some steps in. So at least I'd wake up sometimes and get some steps in. I still did one day. It was Tuesday that I got some workout done. I attempted to track my food, trying to learn new apps, trying to understand how my energy lined up with my deficit. So seeing the scale dip at all this week, I am genuinely pleased. It's proof that I'm still trying, even when your brain goes, no, it can add up. It's proof that imperfect effort is still effort. And it's proof that you don't have to do everything perfectly for progress to happen. Like I said earlier, change takes time to adjust to. My brain was doing some heavy lifting this week. My body needed more rest than movement, and that's okay. We'll get used to the new routine. The consistency will come back, 1 week at a time. Talk about my blood pressure. I did pretty bad on tracking, but well, actually I did much better than I did like the last few weeks, but still, like those evening ones I weren't getting as much of. But in all honesty, it looked exactly like the kind of week I had. It's basically just that I'm trying, I swear. Mixed in, my body's just going to do whatever it wants today. My mornings were pretty steady. Afternoons dipped into ma'am, are you okay? And then evenings hit or miss depending on whether or not I remembered to exist. There's some I just don't even have things that I just fell asleep. You know, that morning average, 103/66. So, you know, my mornings are always higher. We all know this. Afternoon, 89/59. Evening, 89/57. Doing its thing. Still better than it was, you know. But, the system was wobbling just a bit here and there. Still doing its job, though. Nothing dramatic. Nothing scary. Just a tired body regulating itself while it's running on fumes. So, more of a keep watching it, don't freak out kind of week. Informative, non-alarming. Body's still in the fight. You, my brain checked out halfway through Tuesday. Now going along, blood pressure, of course, there is the heart rate. My heart rate morning 97, afternoon 106, evening 97. This one is a little bit different for me. Normally I see my heart rate is usually higher in the mornings, because I usually wake up in that panic. But apparently not so much this week. I've been so tired. Like the fact that I woke up was a miracle. So it basically is, okay, so apparently again my heart, it decided to audition for a caffeine commercial this week. And like I said, the mornings are fine. Hovering around the high 90s. You know, we're awake. We're not sprinting. Afternoons, those were the kind of chaos. Every time I moved, thought existed. My heart was like, let's hit triple digits just for fun. And by the evening, of course, it calmed down again, which tracks because that's when I finally stopped pretending to be productive. So this week's average landed around 101, which isn't wild, just expressive. My body's clearly still in the we're doing our best mode, not resting perfectly, not panicking, just vibing somewhere between mildly stressed and still kicking. Which matches. Glucose, morning average 100, afternoon 116, evening 144. And this week, again, because glucose doesn't only go along with what you ate, it also goes with how you feel. Not lying. Just so basically, my glucose said, again, we are stressed. We are tired. We are doing everything out of order. Let's improvise. So mornings were the normal calm fasting selves, because I usually fast in the morning. I have a tendency not to eat breakfast, to be perfectly honest. And of course, my first ones are always taken before I've even done anything. She's scratched. No, see, not enough to pause the video. She was doing scratch. She's like, no. Oh. But yeah. Anyways, what were we saying? Mornings, just kind of whatever's doing. Afternoons drifted higher, though most of the time I was still fasting, but the thing is I was getting a bit stressed out. There was one day I ate breakfast, and of course that one went up as well. Evenings, so that's where my body was kind of getting itself confused. On a normal basis, this is what I do when I get out of work. I get out of work, I get myself ready, I go do my exercises. That's like for most of the night. I do my my panic exercises and stuff like that. I take my vitals, and then I eat. I have a tendency not to eat until around 10, 11 o'clock at night. Well, this week, I would get out of work, I'd have dinner, I'd either rest or pass out, or a lot of passing out, and then I'd go out for a walk if I had the energy, and then take my glucose. My body's just like, okay, when you eating? I don't get it. We were changing things. So the body was kind of a little confused, but it was doing its thing. My weekly average, though, still landed at 114. My body's just saying we adapted, but you know what? That's actually a very good number, so we'll accept it. It's just been a little weird. Sleep, we're still not adding this in. I tried to look at the app and figure it out, and it does tell you your total sleep, but I don't fully figure out what it's saying to me. Like, I can see like my main sleep, and it has that whole breakdown of like your REM and stuff like that. But the thing is, I also know that there were naps, but guess what I couldn't find were the naps. And I don't think that they were part of what was in there. And I'm confused. So I don't know what's going on. The app's logic feels like it's written by a cat chasing its own tail. So, and as of today, my brain is still on low power. I'm getting through. This was fun trying to make this script because I was just like, huh, what, okay. So we're gonna skip the deep dive today. We will get to it back in here eventually, once I figure out what the app thinks sleep means now. Yeah, especially because last week it was like you were awake for 5 hours, and then this week it's like you took no naps. Okay, we'll figure it out. So let's talk about steps. Total steps this week was 35,062. My average steps per day were 5,009. So they were okay. I mean, this week's step count basically said we're moving, but only when we really feel like it. Yeah. Yeah. So right here is where I was like I said, I don't move it Monday, Tuesday. I actually did get my exercises done on Tuesday, and I felt really good about it. And I was like, oh, I can do this all week. No, I was so tired after all that. Like, I was lucky to get a day in, but at this point I'm just happy I got some kind of steps in there from time to time. Yeah. I started slow, again, that big Tuesday surge, coasted through the rest of the week like a cat who already met her quota. The rhythm is still there, it's just a little more, we'll get there. Then, let's conquer the stairs. So, yeah, we'll get it back up to speed, but it's gonna take some time. Talking about water intake, I did forget to track a lot. Not a lot, like, I didn't track on the weekends. Actually, I didn't track today. You'll see that next week. But it, so there was times, like, I get to my full 40 ounce, like, I have my 40 ounce drink over there. I don't know if you guys see the soda. I need some caffeine today, okay? But, there were, like, a few of those. I'm not actually sure if I also had finished up, what is this cat doing? Finished up the second 40 ounce thing, or if I finished it and then officially passed out, which is quite possible. So I just put in whenever I actually tracked, because I'm not going to track something that I don't remember, and I just went, we'll just go with this. So yeah, I would honestly say at least Monday through Friday I did get 80 ounces a day, even though it's what you're not going to see. Just 2 of those days I can't remember if I finished it or not. I just, yeah. The same thing as like a lot of days I didn't have my glucose or my blood pressure at night, because at night I was just like, I am too tired. I'm not dealing with this. So I didn't. And I think it was the same thing. I would finish the water and just, I'm not dealing with this, and put it away. So at least for what I tracked, I did get a whole total of 320 ounces, which is a average, just doing the Monday through Friday, because I didn't track it all on the weekend, of at least 64 ounces a day. I mean, that's not too bad. It's okay. I'll take it for what I had. It's alright. Next, again, we're going to look at the deficit, because I'm putting it in here, but I don't really know how accurate it is. I tried to track it on my MyFitnessPal, so that's the one that I put in those calories, but it's not as confusing as Google Health, but it's still confusing, and it's still telling me, oh, this is your daily calorie intake you should be doing, and I'm like, I want though my energy out versus it's just this is what's working for me. I was taught this in one of my programs, and this is what's working for me. This is what I want to do. I don't want to go, I want 2,000 calories a day. I want to, do this. But everything's pushing a calorie thing and your macros and your micros and whatever, and I'm not that into it. Okay, I do know I gotta track my calories. I do know I should be tracking those, and when I get healthier I will, because my brain's on other stuff. But I just want, this is how much energy I burned, this is how much calories I ate, this is how many calories I burned, calories ate. So I tried, got the MyFitnessPal, which I'm try to track all my meals. There's some days I think there's a meal missing in there. I didn't count it. I'm pretty sure I tracked all my meals for the other ones. And then today's the first day I actually looked the calories out compared to that, because I did keep forgetting sometimes put it in that day, so I put it in the next day, and then I looked at, I don't know, things look weird. The chart you're going to see is what I got. I don't, we're trying. Again, I added this one back in this week. We're going to see what we can do. It's been fun, but we'll figure it out. Now as for the measurement, I did them. Hey. So anyways, we all know I'm really bad at doing my measurements, like historically bad. Like, I don't know if I did it right. I don't remember if this is exactly where I did it, took the measurement last time. And then this week, you just take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah, I actually started out doing my script, completely forgot, went, oh no, I gotta do measurements, then went, you know what, I'll just skip them this week, and then went, but I gotta do my pictures for the thumbnail, and I'm gonna be in that outfit anyways, because it's where I, might as well do the measurements. And I was tired, and my brain hurt, and I didn't even realize I hadn't, I just, So, put on the clothes, took the pictures, went, fine, might as well whip out the measuring tape while I'm here. And now, so normally whenever I am measuring, even though I'm really bad at it, I'm at least like trying to go, okay, this is where I measured last time, so let me try and do it the same area. That I didn't care this week. I just the vibe was, that looks good. And the other thought that was in my head was, are my arm wings really that big? That wing, a lot of it, I have that wing right here. Like, is it really that big? Like, I don't think I've ever realized. Just, I'm like, ooh, yeah, just, anyway, so that's where my brain went today. We did them. Those measurements were done. We're probably going to find out next week, just, like, all of a sudden, something's going to, like, change really, really big, because I did it completely wrong this week. I don't know. I tried. We're going to go with I tried. We're rolling with it, okay? Yeah. So we're kind of sort of at the end of the video, and normally this is where I go over everything and I talk about how this week went, and this is what we saw this week, and this is how this no. We already kind of did that, and I repeat, I'm tired, alright? Things went about how I expected. I actually expected a gain. I got a loss, so this is fine. As for next week though, hopefully I'll have MyFitnessPal figured out a little bit more, or maybe I'll even find another app and I'll update you on that if that's what's happening. I'm hoping I'll finally figure out this Google Health update so I can actually see my sleep numbers. That'd be nice, which includes my naps, because yes, those count, and yes, I take them when I need to, and this week was a lot of them. Will I have time to do all this? No clue. I'm only surprised I'm even getting this week's out at this point. Yeah. The next few weeks are probably going to be more of the same. I'm not lying. Because changes do take time, and this month's definitely the change. This is like the month of changes. Everything's changing. It's taking time. I gotta get used to them. It's okay. My brain is getting a workout. Hopefully my body will too this week. Less naps, more sleep, more progress, or more naps, and then even more naps, and eventually something will click and we'll get back to normal. I don't know. Who knows? I do want to add, though, We do want to add a little story though from this past week, of what happened and how it might affect next week. So next week though, I went on that whole tangent. Now we're going on this. So next week though, is possibly my last week of my panic exercises. At that point, possibly we'll find out where my panic scale is at the end of the week. But this was kind of fun. So this is from my Learn to Live that I use. That I've been progressing. So if things are going the way it's been progressing, that we're figuring that much. So it's fun to do. So right now my panic exercises, I spin in circles. Here's the problem that was kind of not really progressing too much because I have absolutely no balance. I'm doing those balance exercises and stuff. I'm going to fall flat in my face with some of these though. I need something to hold on to at all times. I have no balance. I'm not a ballerina. Never have been, never will be. All right. So anyways, they would suggest to me, why don't we try doing it in a chair? You do the spinning in a chair. You still have the same effect. Huh. I said, all right. What's my first thought? Could go May. She's a weirdo. She likes to be bounced and spun. Because she's a weird cat. She really is. Let's do it with her. Yeah. Y'all, I might have created a monster. So I use the same chair at work that I do this video on. This is the chair I also use to just kind of spin around. And like I stick one foot underneath me and I spin around. And all week she has been, well, normally she just, like if she wants treats, she might come paw at me or something. This week she's been at my feet. She's been sitting down looking at me, and she wants to go back to spinning. It's weird. And then when we actually do the exercises, she's in my lap when we do it. I hold her and she's looking around, and I put her down. She wobbles away. She literally especially the first time she almost fell over. I felt bad. I was like, maybe I shouldn't do that again. And then she sat there and she went like this, and then she turned around and she came running back and she sat down and she looked at me and she pawed at my knee and she basically gave me the space that I know from her. I've had this cat 11 years. I know the space that means again. I'm dizzy. I have to do this again because this little tiny little tortie cat. Yeah. So yeah, I know this again face. I've seen it many, many times. But anyway, my little monster now. She's my new teammate. But the panic rating is progressively going down. So hopefully next week I'm going to move on to the next step. That is my hope. So we'll see how it goes. But it's another mystery. Aiming for good vibes. We'll go from there. So, anyways, that's about it for the pause of this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And please come back next week to see what tiny bit of progress, or naps, we uncover together. Mystery included, vibes pending. See you next week, y'all.